Listen, Bitcoin ETFs are interesting, but there's one issue that have to be plenty greater exciting for all of you men that doesn't get quite a few talking points, okay? And that is tokenization. BlackRock's plan to tokenize actually the whole thing. You understand, in case you thought that ETFs were big, tokenization goes to be substantially large, and thankfully with the excellent possibility nowadays to in reality dive deep into this concern and the way it's going to be clearly an outstanding factor. For the crypto enterprise inside the destiny. Now, I actually have mixed feelings approximately the tokenization of all belongings due to the fact I do love decentralization. But by means of the cease of this video today, you guys are going to have an honestly clear image of how the tokenization of all real global belongings and decentralization can coexist in an atmosphere that benefits the XRP lot that I imply. It is going to be a multi-trillion-dollar enterprise. I mean, who does not want the XRPL to be worth trillions of bucks? If you actually need that, well, you will need to pay attention to what is going to be mentioned in Cutting Edge video. So please hit that like button so absolutely everyone sees this, and let's get into it. Are actually thrilling, and it makes experience that is a totally massive way that BlackRock may be very worried in crypto. But I suppose we are all form of excited to peer what's over right here, the horizon here, because the ETF is without a doubt greater of a TradFi product, and we love DeFi, we like smart contracts, and so I kind of want to get into the world of tokenization. Larry Fink, in an interview, he alluded to this, that his eyes are beyond the ETFs, and he's greater interested in this idea known as tokenization, after which, no longer too lengthy after that interview, led the BlackRock Biddle Fund were given launched, which now has over $500 million of AM, of course, tokenized treasuries on Ethereum. Talk to us about the aspirations of the BlackRock digital asset crew on the subject of tokenization. Yeah, we're very excited about tokenization. A lot of the company, as you mentioned, Larry, as well as enthusiastic about tokenization. This is something that has the ability to be hugely transformative for economic infrastructure, right? Particularly whilst paired with some of the DeFi programs that you could construct around tokenized belongings. I suppose we have to consider that we're terrific early in this journey toward tokenization proper. And I think there is three huge matters that need to appear for us to have sort of that inflection factor second, wherein this, without a doubt, begins to accelerate in phases of its adoption. And that's one, a breadth of institutional grade custodians who can aid both crypto and tokenized belongings. Two could be big, credible buying and selling marketplaces for tokenized belongings, such that the liquidity value proposition that today is on the whole theoretical around tokenization truly can occur. And the 0.33 is regulatory clarity. A massive part of this is certainly the recognition that if I tokenize a bond, that's a bond. If I tokenize an inventory or an ETF, it really is an inventory or an ETF, etc. So we're building on this journey. It's nevertheless splendid early, but if it occurs, if that vision is found out, you realize we might have a massively extra green, handy, low fee, bendy financial machine, doubtlessly, then you understand what exists with conventional rails. I think that is what gets all people excited. A framework or a roadmap for what receives tokenized first. And of root in crypto, we call these actual international assets just a wonderful from our imaginary net cash kind of factors, which are crypto bearer units like a Bitcoin or either the asset. So permits communicate approximately tokenization from the perspective of actual world assets. What asset classes befell first? I might say the original tokenized belongings, possibly dollars, right? The solid coin is an instance of tokenization, and David became citing the Biddle Fund. There are others which might be looking to tokenize the treasury, so perhaps bonds come subsequent. But how does BlackRock think about this in phrases of asset lessons? Are there set instructions that are greater conducive to this? What are their criteria? How do you guys think it's going to take place? Yeah, well, manifestly numerous the focal point these days after tokenizing coins, i.e. stable cash, has been tokenizing kind of strong price yield devices of various bureaucracy. And there's been coalescence around that use case. And there is masses of appropriate reasons for that. You recognize when you move past that into what comes subsequent, I assume there's not almost as a great deal consensus nowadays around type of the second, one, third, fourth, fifth, maximum addressable, largest cost upload asset training. But without a doubt, whilst we reflect on consideration on tokenization and what it may imply for our customers, the two headlines that were centered on are access and price, right? So what are some asset lessons which are difficult to get admission to these days for a number of buyers? And what are a few asset lessons that are truly inefficient and steeply priced to perform these days that tokenization can make greater efficient? That's thrilling. Access and price are interesting dimensions right here. And I want to ask the question because inside the equal wave 5 years in the past, there were a whole lot of humans in conventional finance that have been skeptics on Bitcoin and Ether as an asset. There also are some skeptics which are bearish on tokenization in TradFi. Of root, like no one which listens to Bankless, because we have been speaking about this for years, but out of doors of Bankless, they would say something like, nicely, Robbie, we have already got tokenization. You have tokenized products at BlackRock. They're called ETFs. That is the ERC 20-year finance and ETF. And we have already got representations of bonds and shares and securities markets. What is your pitch for the benefit of tokenization? You note sort of like DeFi earlier, and you will make perhaps the capability to type of like application clever contracts, which have if-then statements for like what you may do with positive tokens. But you then referred to access and price. So what's form of the elevator pitch for someone who is a non-believer for tokenization and who says we have already got a conventional finance device works remarkable? You know, like have you seen securities? Like it is the market's going properly, what are you saying to them? Yeah, well, first, actually, I'd say that standpoint within conventional finance is in reality no longer that widespread. That, in case you suppose back to sort of the first mainstream explosion of crypto and blockchain onto the focus of a number of people, that turned into 2017. And in 2017, you heard numerous blockchain, now not Bitcoin. Now, there is a few kind of challenges with that for some motives, but putting those aside, that change, so to speak, has been wrong in this intervening length. Bitcoin and crypto, notwithstanding the growth and bust cycles, has continued to ascend, and lots of the kind of early blockchain packages and these networks and consortiums that have been constructed, in many instances, private blockchain applications have no longer flourished. That sentiment, though, nevertheless exists these days, and it regularly takes the shape of tokenization, now not crypto. And I think this is unsuitable as well. And in fact, an essential free-up to tokenization goes to be, in all likelihood, the adoption of crypto. Because whilst you consider it, what's riskier? For huge TradFi establishments to have allocations in 1%, 2%, 3% to this new asset class that is unstable and rather unproven high upside, excessive ability drawback? Or is it riskier to migrate doubtlessly tens of trillions of existing financial belongings onto this new technology paradigm? Well, while you think about it that way, the latter is manifestly way riskier. So one of the ways that as an enterprise we're possibly to endanger that is to construct solutions and luxury and adoption around crypto that gets firms used to using blockchain rails, and in the long run is going to assist the adoption of tokenization. And this is a brilliant factor I've been waiting for someone to make for honestly long term. Listen, it needs to be so seamless, so clean for every person to use, whether this is establishments or retail, that it will become a no-brainer, just like any other technology proper, like when the automobile changed into invented. It's a no-brainer. Would you instead feed a horse hay, clean up its manure, must take it to the veterinarian, or without a doubt just purchase an automobile, park it to your storage, and just turn it on every occasion you need to pressure? I imply it's plenty easier to apply a vehicle, but within the early days of the automobile, there was a number of non-believers and haters which can be like, hey, horses are better. Horses are higher for this, that, and this purpose. But it's very apparent to everybody these days that automobile is so much phenomenally higher. But the reason why it turned into higher is that there have been establishments, there were organizations that built cars, and lots of them failed. Not all of every car corporation succeeded. In reality, out of all that have been around inside the early 1900s, there is only one which sincerely exists today, and that is Ford. But Ford persisted. It created a higher product in all the opposition, and those bought it for this reason, and they continue to shop for it even today. And for this reason, we've got one of the biggest automobile producers in the international